Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary or situation report or SITREP for the day of 798 for the 1st of May. This does not include the 2nd of May's Russia's report that has already came out as per this recording, but I'm not including that because I want to leave it for tomorrow. So there's one frontline change from the last frontline changes report. It's over at Novy. So over at the Bakhmut Front at Novy, what happened is that there is this geolocation that contradicts a little bit of the Russian the other geolocation. So this geolocation originally mentioned in the frontline changes report show Russian forces entered the Novy again. However, there is this another geolocation that came after posted by Military Summary on his Telegram channel. This one is a TOS 1A strike. So this puts into question whether this is now a capture because we do not know which one came first. So this is the problem with video footages. We do not know when it is recorded. It could come up late. The timing may be different. So we're going to change this into a gray zone. So this is going to be just a possible presence. It's no longer a Russian capture. So just to reflect on the change in terms of the reality, or based on the best information that we have right now. So we go into the strategy and tactical reporting, and before we go on, this map here, the link is in the description below at defensepoliticsasia.com/Ukraine, and on this map you can also find the latest reports and yesterday's report, and also of course all the past days reports. And then there's some extra things like the link to DPA Open Mic, and of course how you can help to support DPA, their Patreon and whatnot. So just want to promote a little bit, and of course follow DPA's Telegram and Twitter. We go into the Southern Front. So we have fighting reported at Kharkiv. So this is as usual. Ukrainian Defense Ministry said Kharkiv is still under attack. I have rumors from the ground that there's some possibility that Kharkiv has fallen, but this is not confirmed yet. This is just rumors for now. So it is what it is. And in terms of geolocation, we have to talk about this one at Odessa. There's a missile strike causing a large fire in Odessa. So there's one strike over there. Over at Kisomis, over this location, there is 2 airstrikes. There's a FAB on the FAB bombs on Ukrainian positions. So there's 2 strikes around here. The entire saga of this weird island that the Ukrainian side claimed to have captured has went out of the window. They kept quiet about it. They no longer want to talk about it. So it must be very embarrassing to make the big claim. And then but I did mention it is strategically unimportant. It makes no sense for the Ukrainians to try to capture it and even declare that they have captured it. Like, it is kind of meaningless. So opposite of Kharkiv, over at Tekhinka, there's also an airstrike reported hitting Ukrainian forces. This definitely is one of these troops that is probably supporting the operation at Kharkiv. It's getting hit, and then we zoom out. There is a few strikes. This is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. They reported shelling over Svatove and Avdiivka. So these 2 locations is the best I can find. So this most likely is these 2 places. So that's all from the Kherson Front. We move into the Zaporizhzhia Front. Over the Zaporizhzhia Front, there is a fire attack on Ukrainian forces over at Kupyansk, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. Over at the ARKHANHELSKE sector, Russian forces continue to be fighting at Robotine, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And there is fighting reported at Luhansk, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. So Luhansk probably is just fire attack, I believe. So let me see. They say that they occupied more favorable lines, defeated manpower and hardware over at Luhansk. So Lugoskoye. So we shall see how this progress. In this area, I don't expect much changes in this area. So because this is a quiet front, the Russians are not focusing on this front line. We move on. Okay, just before I move on, the reason why the Russians will not focus on this front line, because as you can see, there is actually a lot of entrenchment around this area as well. And the fact that if the Russians push in this direction, this is actually a shorter distance from shorter distance from the border with Poland, which means reinforcement, resupply, ammunition can all come to this front line faster. So the idea is to, of course, stretch the Ukrainians and make them travel across the entire of Ukraine to do reinforcement and resupply. If you go to Zaporizhzhia, it's a bit nearer, so there's no point to do it. So that's the point. That's also why I say Kharkiv offensive is unlikely to happen, because why make their logistics simpler? So go on to the Donetsk Front. Over at the Donetsk Front, the Russian forces continue their offensive. This is the Donetsk Front, and the Russians are attacking over at Staromayorske, at Urozhaine, towards Vodian, and at Novomikhailivka, Georgievka, and Krasnohorivka. So this is the strategic situation right now over at the Donetsk Front. Over at the Velika Novosilka sector, there is multiple geolocations. Based on the latest mapping by DPA UA, they considered that the Russian forces have counterattacked and taken the entire southern outskirts of Urozhaine, which means that they are denoting that the Russians have now launched a major offensive into Urozhaine right now. And this comes after the Ukrainians previously launched a counter-attack. They managed to capture at least one of the houses around here, and now they got ejected immediately, with the Russians launching a massive offensive, capturing even more grounds in the southern part of Urozhaine. And this attack comes not alone. There is also geolocation of helicopter guided missile strike in Staromayorske, and there is this is a guided bomb, glide bomb, not glide bomb. This is guided bomb. So guided bomb strike over at Urozhaine. So the Russians are having a severe advantage against the Ukrainians through their air superiority, and this basically turning the NATO strategy on its head against the Ukrainians. So it's quite a terrible situation for the Ukrainians right now. So that's all from this sector around here. Just off Velika Novosilka, there is a Lancet strike on the Ukrainian tank just off Velika Novosilka, and then we move on further. There's nothing much to talk about over at Novomikhailivka, as well as the fighting towards Vodian. We move into the Marinka sector. There is fighting reported at Georgievka. There is a geolocation of Ukrainian armored fighting vehicle getting destroyed just off Boyeda. Over at the situation at Krasnohorivka, there is no updates. There is just fighting reported at Krasnohorivka according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And then there is some geolocation of Russian shelling of the Ukrainian forces on the eastern part of Krasnohorivka. So tentatively, situation remain unchanged. We shall continue to wait and see. Maybe the next update will be a sudden change of a lot of frontline change again. So let's see how this progress. We move on just to the rear position of Krasnohorivka. There is a counter-artillery strike on Ukrainian Hopwizel over here, and over at Kherson, there is a Russian airstrike over in the rear. So it's interesting that the Russian airstrike went all the way to the rear position. So there must be a lack of targets for the Russians to hit. There's no obvious targets, because in modern warfare everybody hides. Everybody is hiding. Everybody is afraid of drones and surveillance. So yeah, the targets is probably hard to come by. We move into the Avdiivka Front. So at the Avdiivka Front, so let's see how to stretch. This front is getting a bit big. So we have fighting reported in the southern part of Pervomayske and Netolove. Ukrainian forces counterattack at Netolove, fighting towards Yasnobrodivka at Umanske. At Semenivka, Ukrainian forces counterattack at Semenivka, counterattack at Vedaichi. Russia attack Novoporovske. This is... what is this place called? I forgot. Solovyove. Ukrainian forces attacking Solovyove. Russian forces allegedly also attacking, clashing with them. Russians are attacking towards Sokil, attacking towards Progress, and they're attacking in the area of Pocheritine, and attack towards ARKHANHELSKE. I think it's probably from this direction. Ukrainian forces counterattack at Novokalinove. Russians attack at Kharkiv, and also fighting towards what is this? Kalinove. So this is totally off the map because the front line has stretched so much we can't even slot fit everything in right now. So this is the current strategic situation at the Avdiivka Front. Very complex. And the most interesting thing is the Ukrainian Defense Ministry mentioning progress or progress. Definitely it's not pronounced as progress, it's actually progress, but they like to put the G to H, so what the hell. So this mentioning of progress is really concerning, which means that the Russians are now actually pushing in this direction, as per I have mentioned before, following the railway line, and they can actually go around to the rear and attack to the rear position of this entrenchments. So yet another prediction might be coming true, but we will continue to monitor. Maybe it will not play out, because who knows, the Ukrainians maybe do counter actions and force the Russians to abandon the plans. It's important to note that when I talk about all these possibilities, I'm not making a prediction. I'm basically making an analysis saying that what is the Russians planning to do and what is likely they are trying to do. It doesn't mean that the Ukrainians will sit there and just get hit. No. The Pilo can fight back, the Pilo actually carry guns. So this Pilo will hit back, and then of course the Russians will decide that no, this Pilo is getting a bit too hard. So then they will change their plans again, putting softener in it, pouring sand, putting some cotton wool in front of their fist. Things change, so war is flexible, Don't be so obsessed with, oh, this person predicted this thing and it never happened. It's like, come on, if I predict everything can happen, I would not do YouTube. I would just buy lottery every day. So there is a geolocation of Russian forces over in the southern part of Pervomaiske, at this location, and then according to the Ukrainian mapping, the Russian forces seems to have expanded their control over in this area here, but the progress seems to be really slow. It looks like the defenders around this area, the Ukrainian forces defending these positions are really good. So all the defensive positions are just really good. All the Russian forces over here is just lousy. So whatever it is, Russian progress is slow, and Russian forces still fighting at Netelove. They are clashing each other with both sides claiming to be attacking or defending. So the situation there's no frontline change around here. But it's important to note that this is also not really an important place right now at this moment, because there is still a lot of heavy entrenchments all the way to the rear, basically 3 lines of defenses. So the breaking through from this area towards Kharkivka around here is just pointless. And another pointless thing to tell you about is that this is called Kharkivka, and it's called Kalinove. A lot of Kali around here. So and then there's another Kalinove around here. So clearly Ukrainians like to eat a lot of curry. And over at the situation, Zaporizhzhia, no updates. Umanske, no updates. Clashing over at Semenivka, Ukrainian forces counterattack at Badaichi. This is still ongoing. Russian forces trying to push out. But this is the best the Ukrainians can do. They're trying to attack Solovyove. However, we do have Ukrainian Defense Ministry confirming that the Russians are attacking Novoporovske, which means that the Russians are making progress in the south of Solovyove. The Russians are pushing at Solovyove. And however, despite whatever the Ukrainians seemingly is doing, according to the Russian reporting, because many of these are based on Russian reports, the reality is that the Russians have been geolocated going near to Sokil. And this geolocation of Russian progress basically invalidated everything the Ukrainian claims around here, because to reach this point, all of these locations have to be captured, which means that the Russians are now making a massive push towards Sokil. And the Ukrainian forces do have very strong positions around here. There's a massive entrenchment just off Sokil. There's a huge trench line around there. There's a another huge massive trench line in the north. Of course, the Russians have already broke through some of them. So this push is probably likely to continue until they maybe get very close to the Ukrainians, and then let the other breakthrough from the north come from the top, from the north, and then force a withdrawal. So this is probably what I predict will happen, because the Russians just have the initiative everywhere right now. There is no reasons to risk unnecessary lives to do a frontal attack. There's fighting reported at Cheretine. I'm not exactly sure where this is referring to. It could be here, because this area is also a Cheretine. Because once you go on towards the north, this is actually Novo Alexandrivka. And so this based on the mapping from the Ukrainian side. Actually, I should have marked this as red. So I should do it. Give me a second. Yep, so I've marked this, basically updated this with the Ukrainian information. Provided by Deep State UA, they mentioned the map is updated and there was a progress to in this area here. This is based on their mapping, and the Russian forces continue to expand their control. In this area here, there is a good possibility that they will just push into Novo-Alexandrivka and hold the positions along these heavy defenses. They may or may not necessarily need to take these defenses, as the Russians can continue to push northward through this unentrenched open ground. So this currently is the situation over this area here, and this progress over in the Novo-Alexandrivka seems to have freaked out the Ukrainians, because the Ukrainians basically abandoned Arkhanhelske. I thought that they would make a stand around here to hold back the Russians, but they did not. In fact, they actually just bounced. They actually maybe went northward, and I'm not sure if they're actually leaving troops here to defend this entrenchment, because they already abandoned this one. So the Russians basically took this entrenchment quickly, without much of a fight. If you followed the DPA's reporting across the 2 years plus, you'll probably know that this kind of heavy entrenchment take a long time to fight. Like the situation just off Bakhmut, you see many of these entrenchments, fighting at Marinka and whatnot. It takes a long time to fight all these heavy entrenchment, the one at Klishevka, but somehow this one just falls so quickly. The Ukrainians basically just got routed. This is what the word I used, and it is what it is. The amount of change is 6 square kilometers, and it's huge. It's a lot. In terms of depth, we are talking about 2.5 kilometers deep in terms of the front line the Russians have pushed through for this kind of a trench, like World War I trench warfare kind of warfare. And given the speed of progress over the past most of the 2 years, this is very fast. This is very fast. So, and this is one of the heaviest defended areas for the Ukrainians. So for them to just bounce like this is quite unexpected in a way. But it's expected if we are considering all the challenges the Ukrainians are facing, the lack of ammunition, the inability to mobilize troops easily. So, and then of course the reluctance from the West to actually provide the support. The Ukrainians need to actually win the war, or the NATOs don't even enter the war. So they just set up for failure. So eventually reality will catch up. So the Russian forces taken a huge amount of grounds around here. They continue to expand through the straightened front line. They push all the way through, conquering more than half of ARKHANHELSKE. They take one of the tree line around here, another entrenchment around there. So this area, and then the Russians are now at the edge of this heavy entrenchment, which I'm not sure if the Ukrainians are there at all. ARKHANHELSKE is going to fall within the next 48 hours. Should be very quickly, and with this progress, because of this hooking action, and there's another hooking action from there, we'll probably see the Russians push through Ocheretine and create a separate mini pincer on this fortification. So even if the fortification is held to defend, the Russians could actually just go around it, encircle it, pincer it. Yeah, this is just going to die a horrible death, if anyone stay there. So this is just the situation around here. Despite all this, we actually have the Russian Defense Ministry mentioned Ukrainians counterattack over at Novokalinovo. I'm not sure how, given how fast the front line is collapsing. So probably this is not much. Maybe it's just a covering force in this area here to push the Russians while the main force is trying to escape. So that could be the case. We will continue to monitor to see the situation, and we also have reports from the Ukrainians saying the fighting at Kalinovo, which means that the push around here on the eastern part of ARKHANHELSKE is now being mentioned to be under Kalinovo, and the Russians probably is now pushing through this area here. So we will definitely monitor and see how this progress. The collapse is fast. It's kind of surprising as I give this area a nickname. I know this is like the citadel, because so much entrenchment formed in the big circle. centralizing around 2 settlements. No, it looks very formidable. So the fact that the Russians have already captured, like, what is this, like 15% or 20% of it is just astounding. This change is just unbelievable. Over at Tarasivka, there was an artillery strike on Ukrainian ammunition dump. And I think that's about it from the Avdiivka Front. So I'm definitely expecting more changes over the next 24 hours because the front line is just collapsing. This is exactly what I said the Russians should do when the Russians first broke out from Avdiivka. And then after they captured the coke plant, they went for Semenivka, Olivka, and Badaichi. Ukrainian forces at the beginning was struggling. They were attacking Olashkine and Tonenke and Shivane, all these things. And the Ukrainians was actually panicking, but the Russians did not press their advantage. As a result, the Ukrainians managed to reorganize and managed to hold a defense, causing the creation of the BOT line, the BOT line, and this BOT line held for a long time. So now you see, this is what I mean. When you don't let the enemy, the defenders, catch a breath, you keep pushing and keep doubling down, and don't let them regroup and find a breather to regroup their defense. This is what will happen. You will just break through and break through and break through. Yeah. So let's see how far or how long the Russians can continue doing this. Over at the Niu-York Front, Russian forces attacked Pivdene, Ukrainian forces attacked at Sumy and at New York. So this is a sideshow. Nobody cares, I know. And we move on to the Bakhmut Front. Over at the Bakhmut Front, the fighting reported at Klishevka as usual, as well as Andrievka. Again, nobody cares, I know. Over at the Novy region, there is Russian geolocated to seemingly enter Novy again from the north. However, the geolocation, as mentioned in the Frontline Changes report at the beginning of this SITREP, shows that this information is not very clear, but we do have information about fighting at Novy according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And zooming out, there is shelling reported at Konstantinivka according to the Russian Defense Ministry, and that's about it. We move into the Siversk Front. At the Siversk Front, Russian forces attack at Bilohorivka, the Luhansk region, Bakhmut, and Spurny. Geolocation of a Russian guided bomb guided aerial bomb. So hitting Ukrainian forces just near Spurny. So which means this is somewhat of a close air support in a way. So we shall see how this develops. Tentatively, this entire Siversk offensive seems to be very dull. It did not seem to break through anything. So the Ukrainian defense line seems to held up. So Siversk Front whole. We move into the Kreminna Front. So over at the Kreminna Front, we have Russian forces attacking through the Serebranske Forestry, attack at Dibrova, over Yampolivka and Terny, as well as Nevsky. So this is the strategic situation over at the Kreminna Front. And so there's no updates regarding any breakthroughs. So we shall continue to monitor. But as mentioned in the last SITREP, Kreminna Front is part of a larger front line stretching all the way to the Kupyansk Front. So this front line from Kreminna all the way to Kupyansk is as long as the Zaporizhzhia Front. And over at this Svatove Front, we have a lot of reports. We have fighting reported at Berestove, at Stemakivka, towards Kopanki, over at Novoyehorivka, towards Kharkiv, and of course the Nevsky was reported just now. So the Russians are pushing across the entire front line. We are not sure which one is the main push. We're also not sure if these are just probings, but we'll definitely have to monitor and see. But definitely there is something going on right now, and it's not normal. So my assumption is always going to be around. There's no reason to go through this heavy entrenchment around here. So let's see how this works out. We move into the Kupyansk Front. Kupyansk Front is now becoming more and more interesting. Russian forces are attacking Petropolivka. They're attacking Zagorokivka. They're attacking Kaislivka and Kotyarivka, as well as Ivanivska. And geolocation of a Russian guided bomb hitting just off Kaislivka, as well as another artillery shelling on Ukrainian artillery just off Kurilivka. So this is a strategic situation over at the Kupyansk Front, and it looks like there is this massive push over here because 3 locations are all mentioned to be under fighting. We have if you zoom in, you'll see how close all these settlements are. Fighting over at Ivanivka, there's fighting at Khyslivka. This one we already know because the battle of Khyslivka is already battling, and the Russians are now pushing south towards Kotelyarivka. And so this is now a massive arrow push around this area here, and you can see how close this guided bomb strike is. Just off where the front line is. We are talking about the distance of just less than a kilometer. This is a close air support. So the situation here is getting very, very interesting. We might see a breakthrough, if the Ukrainians are unable to hold. Previously, this position is held by the territorial defense. The territorial defense got surprised and then got overrun. And it looks like there's some special forces or something went on to reinforce from the Ukrainian side, which is why the line is holding. But we'll definitely continue to monitor and see how this progress. We move into the border regions. There is a important strike being reported and showed by geolocation over at Lyukivka. At Lyukivka, there is HIMARS. 2 Ukrainian HIMARS, based on the video footage, seemingly got destroyed. Of course, it's a bit hard to tell, but it looks like they got destroyed by Russian missile strike after the HIMARS vehicles got spotted by surveillance drone. The drones followed the vehicles into the forest, and then they marked the position and launched missile strike on the HIMARS complex. So 2 HIMARS allegedly got destroyed. Even though we have the video footage, we still cannot be sure because the aftermath footage of the destruction is still not clear enough. And nose itchy. Then there is this geolocation of a Lancet striking a Ukrainian tank deep within the rear positions just off Hontarivka, and another strike of a Russian airstrike, a fat bombing over just off Lukyansk. I think this is a Ukrainian position. Not sure what is that about. I didn't see the video footage, and that's about it. So this is the summary for the day of 798 for the 1st of May. Do press the like button, subscribe. And you haven't watched the Frontline Changes report, you may want to watch it, but everything is also covered in this situation report as well. Anyway, so yes, do press the like button, subscribe. Subscribe on both sides, the DPA War and the main channel. The War channel will have the reports first, and the notifications will be on only on the War channel. The main channel will not have the notification on. And because I want to concentrate more on geopolitics, but lately have been a bit busy, didn't manage to do more videos. But we shall see how. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next update.